Hello class, it's Scott Caruso here to talk to you for the last time, this time about my week 4 assignment for SDI 1204. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? I don't just mean this past assignment we did, but the entire class really. And I'm only speaking half sarcastically because I really found myself enjoying the hard work of these past, particularly the past 2 weeks, but really the 4 weeks altogether. Uh, this past week, the amount of joy I got when one of my if conditionals inside a function worked right the first time I tried it was pretty awesome. Really, the biggest problem I ran into this time around was that I was trying my hardest to avoid using the previous videos and/or Google to help me when my syntax got all wonky on me, and it just took a little bit more time for me to kind of think back and remember what I was doing because I really don't want to have to rely on Google my entire life to be able to do this. I'll tell you though, when I really started digging into it, the coding came pretty easily to me. I was able to visualize where I should drop a new function or an if statement, and probably 4, maybe 5 of the 6 functions I was able to pretty clearly map out ahead of time before I even started typing out any of the work. It also helped that for one of the functions, I'd uncovered the parse float function late last week while looking up something else, so that made one of them a little bit easier for me. That question about how this assignment builds upon previous lessons is kind of a silly one at this point, if you ask me, because it's clear that every bit of what we learned so far was needed to get poured into this assignment in order to complete it. But if nothing else, this week reminded me of the value of doing research and constantly pushing the limits of what I know. I spent a large chunk of time early on studying the array and string functions just so I would know exactly which ones to pull out of my toolbox. And those weren't anything that were given to us. We had to go out and search those out ourselves. There weren't a lot of videos on those that we'd been provided. That was stuff that I had to go and find. And it just reaffirmed to me the value of that level of research. And interestingly, the biggest lesson that I kind of affirmed myself had nothing to do with the code itself or anything that we've learned book learned in this class, but rather about the sheer volume of stress and work I'm willing to put into something in order to succeed. I've had plenty of stress in my professional life. You can't survive in the video game industry without it, but there's been a few times over the past couple weeks where I've felt very much like I have during crunch time on trying to ship Madden or NCAA football or any of the games I've worked on. But there's been very few times where I've been willing to put in that amount of stress for something that wasn't a paycheck, and these 4 weeks were definitely one of those times. So in short, it's been a great ride. Everything really came together this week, and I'm pretty thrilled with the result. I hope lots of you move on to visual frameworks with me, and see you next month, y'all.